Hello, we are back, and we are still in Nye County. My buddy Chuck Augustin, I'm Tom Gibson, and we're here to discuss whatever you'd like to discuss. I mean, we have our own agenda, but if you have questions you want to call, whether it's like legally related or we're dealing with our shadow government, Chuck's the expert on that. We're here to help, so please call in when you get a chance.
Speaking of shadow government, the real emperor of the United States, David Rockefeller, passed away yesterday. And for those that know history, real history, which is called conspiracy theory, but it's undeniable. He, along with Morgan, J.P. Morgan, and a bunch of the other rich guys, both from the U.S. and Europe, way back at the beginning of the 20th century, in the early 1900s, set this empire up, which included banking, oil, and healthcare.
Railroads.
Yeah, but those three have retained their dominance over our economy and our way of life.
Actually, the railroad transportation. I mean, because I mean, people that in charge. I mean, the people that own the railroads are very, very powerful. They always have been.
Sure. Well, if you own the banks, you know, as we've said in other shows, the Federal Reserve, you can own everything, and they do. So when he passed away, certainly he was 101 years old. So he probably wasn't active. His relatives and bloodlines and all the rest are throughout the whole system. So I'm sure they are the ones pulling the strings right now.
What a lot of people don't know is a lot of people don't even realize, you know, about the shadow government, or, you know, the New World Order, as we'll call them to make it easy. And Rockefeller was the most powerful man in the United States.
Right.
Now, maybe not always the richest, but always the most powerful. And then the Rothschilds were the most powerful people in Europe. And at one time, Rothschild actually got the best of Rockefeller in a banking deal. But what he did was he basically got the families to marry.
Yeah, and that's it. Morgan actually at one point bailed out the entire banking system of the U.S. He was the big banker. While Rockefeller was doing his oil thing, Morgan was doing the same thing in the banking world. And to make a long story short, like you said, Rothschild, those two families and others, Carnegies, et cetera, got together and they formed, just like the mob did, the commission. And we call it the New World Order, the Illuminati, the global elites, whatever. That is who we're up against, folks. And it filters all the way down to this police state and the whole thing we're talking about right here now.
And that's what drives him so crazy right now about Donald Trump. And you don't have to like Trump, but you have to appreciate what he's done. He upset the apple cart, and the voters, for the first time in decades, were able to elect a person that they wanted and they voted for. And the global elite didn't control the. They thought I think they sat on their laurels, and they didn't control the. Or they didn't manipulate the vote hard enough because they thought it was a shoo-in, and lo and behold, they got beat. And as a matter of fact, over in Brexit, when Brexit passed, there was I saw a video of I mean, I can't remember one of the Rothschilds. It's not Jacob Rothschild, it's his brother. But he was walking over, and he was standing there upset, visibly upset with Prince Charles, and he was poking him on the chest and shouting at him as he's poking him, and Charles is kind of looking there, taking it. Well, first of all, what prince would take that from a commoner? And secondly, well, he wouldn't be a commoner; he's still a lord.
Right.
But what prince would take that from a lesser nobility? And number two, what person would do that and get away with it and not be stomped by British security? But he was able to do that. So what does that tell you about how powerful these people really are? And he was basically lambasting the prince for not having enough control over his people to control that election.
Right. And to me, the key thing is anybody who disrupts the status quo, I'm all for. because the status quo has led us to this pathetic situation we're in now, with the huge gap in wealth, with the police state, with the drugs, with the whole mess we're in, the perpetual wars. So anyone that says this crap is going to come to an end, I'm behind. And so far, I'll give Trump credit, and I'm not absolutely a Republican. I'm for a guy that gets this mess cleaned up.
Well, but see, when I was beginning to talk about that, did you notice though that how hard? I mean, nothing Trump tries to do seems to be successful. They
Sure.
stop him at every angle. And do you think that's just because a handful of ninnies
Yeah.
want to? No, that's because of the Rothschilds and people that the Bilderberg group.
Absolutely.
They're manipulating the other powers, and they're trying to stop him and make him totally ineffective and emasculate him from being able to be an effective president. And so I guess the important thing is for people to support him, because if you don't support him, it's just going to be a matter of time till we have another idiot like the Bush family, or one of the Bush family, or Hillary or Bill Clinton come in there, because they're players. That's all. They're just players and nothing more.
And here's something I feel very strongly about. Trump is not going to be able to do anything. What Trump can do, though, is free us to affect change. And by us, the most important people are the lawyers, to change the legal system, to change this, the doctors, to clean up this nightmare health system, which I'm not talking about Obamacare. It's the fact that cancer can be cured, that heart disease can be almost eradicated, changes in diet, changes in our food supply. The whole gambit has got to be affected by the people in those different areas. So if everyone sits there and says, I'm going to wait for Trump to clean this mess up, there's no way he can do it.
Well, how is it that when you go to these remote civilizations, or even not just remote civilizations, when you go out to these rural areas where not so much in America anymore because of the GMO issue and those, but people who have had clean lifestyles, whereas I don't mean they can drink and they can have fun and do their local drugs wherever they are, but I'm talking about the food they eat. The food they eat are not GMO. They're good basic foods, and I'm talking about like third world nations, and these people live a long time.
Oh, absolutely.
They're very, very healthy. Americans are not healthy, and why? Because of the crap we eat.
And I'm a fanatic on health because I've got so many problems, and I decided a long time ago, if there is an answer to my problems, I'm going to find it. And there are tremendous diets, the Gibson diet. There's a doctor, Lorraine Day, who had terminal stage 4 breast cancer and literally was on her deathbed, that refused chemo, refused radiation, no surgery, and went to a absolutely almost impossible to me to follow diet of juicing and vegetables in such quantities that it totally cleared up her cancer.
Your body will heal itself. I mean,
Sure.
You cut yourself. There's going to be a scar, but your body is going to heal that cut.
Yep.
And it's the same thing with your internal organs.
Exactly.
And every cell in your body is created and set up to heal itself if it can. And as long as you feed your body right, and as long as you get enough sleep, get enough exercise. I don't mean you have to be a marathon runner, but just don't sit there on the couch holding your remote control, and you're sitting there and eating your processed foods, and you're drinking your sodas. Well, you deserve to die.
Sure.
Because you might as well be drinking strychnine.
And that's what basically they want. They want us sick.
Right.
So they suck our wealth out, and then we die.
But they don't want they don't want you dying like that.
No.
They wanted a long, slow
Absolutely.
death. And I see people, especially in some of the older people that are maybe over 50 to say plus. These people have been on these strict processed food diets for years, and I some of my clients, and I'll say, you know what? Maybe you need to start, get away from the GMOs. Don't go to the casinos. I mean, go to a casino and eat. There's not a problem. You do it once in a while. Go to a casino and eat all the time. There will be a problem because their food is not, it's not. Generally, I'm unaware of any casinos, in this town anyway, that serve non-GMO organic fruits and vegetables and meats and other products. So when you have food that is not good for you and you use it over time, you're killing yourself slowly. But you can save yourself by reversing that, and your body will heal itself, even if you're elder. And
sure.
So, but people don't get that, or it's a lack of information. It's a lack of commitment by people to do it too, because it's like it's so much easier to go run down to Burger King and get yourself a Whopper than it is to actually sit down and make a good salad. And the thing is too is say you have greens and vegetables at the store and you get it all organic, but it doesn't have a long shelf life, unfortunately. And so,
but they don't want. They recommend, if you can, buy it every day fresh. The Budwig diet. Johanna Budwig was a doctor. 7 Nobel nominations. Created a tremendous diet that I follow now very closely. We're going to have to go to break. We'll be back after a couple minutes.